Hello and welcome to a brand new, for the final time, at least in this world, episode. No, that was not a sentence. My name is Tony Spruce, and we are here for the world tour. And as you may or may not know, that is where we spawned into this world, and this is naturally formed even though it doesn't look like it. But we will come back to the spot later on, because that's not where we started. We spawned in here and, after punching our first tree, run away into that direction. And guessing from the size of my channel, most people watching this probably have never watched the first episode and have no idea what all this is on about. But this in fact is my very first Let's Play world that I started 3 years ago. I'm scared to think about it. And that is where we settled. Somewhere down here. This was our first hidey hole. Still bad chest and crafting table in here. Of course, eventually it became our mine. We won't look down there, because all my plans of making it pretty, they haven't really paid off. But that's alright. At least the entrance is pretty, and maybe this is also the perfect opportunity to appreciate these two animals, which have been stuck there for many episodes. And I have no plans of letting them free. They are landmarks at that point. But what we actually built in the first episode, even though it didn't look the way it looks now, is our house. Our cozy little home. As well as the gardens, I think we planted those in episode 2, didn't we? Where we already got lost. Trying to search for... I don't know what exactly. Hi guys! How are you doing? Hi, Charlie. I mean, if you watch the series, you know these rooms. If you haven't, well, that's my storage room. And these are just decoration. I thought of them maybe for overflow storage, like I have used it here, but as I have not built too much in this world, I don't have too many overflowing resources. So that wasn't really necessary. Here's our main center of operation, if you wish, with a bed and crafting setup, and for brewing potions and having a good lookout. We have this final floor. Speaking of lookout, that's our spawn mount. That's where we just were. Can we see the path? Not really, because there are too many spruce trees in the way. And you see things over there, and also just out of render distance. It's not too long ago I upgraded this house. In fact, all these ceilings I just added in the live stream. But also the third floor and the tall roof were fairly recent additions. And here we have the all-important Tower of Navigation, which was a huge step for me. I think that was one of the most detailed buildings I had ever built in Minecraft so far. Because if you look at those buildings all around, you might say, okay, they're mid-sized, but they are fairly well detailed. Well, that's not how my buildings looked before I started YouTube. Nope. They looked still very much like 2012, even though 2012 had been past for many years at that point. But you know, if you're making videos, you kinda have to push yourself. Oh, those cats scattered about. I mean, that's chaos in the pens, but I'm not gonna sort it out now. And we can watch the sunset. Once again, decorative barrels. Nothing in there whatsoever. But there is a beautiful view on the landscape from here, isn't there? But we are not yet done. Let me show you the map room. And that's in fact something I've just added off camera. Just before this episode. Because I was just... I don't know, I never came around doing this, but I finally have. And you see this table just barely fits our world. Unfortunately, some buildings here got cut off, which you will see later on, but you still see the idea of the Christmas winter village over here. Well, this is our current spot, the Tower of Navigation. You see the purple roof, our main base. I mean, that's pretty much our home. And there is the harbor we will also soon visit, and that's our spawn point. And is there... oh, there's actually a basement to this building. Oh, and it's somewhat decorated. I mean, absolutely empty, but... still, something. And there's a spider. Why is there a spider running around? In broad daylight. I still love this kinda semi-bridge going around the house. Yeah, and there's a little farm with our pumpkin dude and our animal pen, which is absolute mayhem, but that's just the way it has to be. And I love this area. I still remember we came back to here after Christmas 2021, I think. It's scary to think about it. And we got some advice from our good friend Emmy, and we decorated the place according to what they've suggested. You know, some more decorations like pumpkins and hay bales. And these were really great suggestions, because it looks so much better now. I mean, a bit crowded. It's a bit chaotic, but then again it's a farm, so I think that's alright. Ow, of course we wouldn't land that. And I had some plans for back here. That's where we have farmed our trees, but I just added some pathways as a nod to our tree farm and as well as to the stronghold, which is somewhere in that direction. I think these little things just add so much character to a world, because they hint at something that is there, that is relevant to the lore of the world, but you only know about it when you know about it. Otherwise you can just wonder what these paths are leading to. And yeah, there's a bridge. Where did that bridge all of a sudden come from? I have no idea. Well, in the stream I told you about this project and that I wanted to do it, but even though the stream took almost 4 hours, more than 4 hours, I have no idea, we did not came around doing this, and honestly I'm glad I also didn't even start this project in the stream, because we wouldn't have finished either way, but I just did it between the episodes because I definitely wanted to have a good access to a winter village. Because until then we always needed to climb somewhere up that mountain. It was awkward, it was just not nice. And even though we are leaving this world fairly soon, this was just one of the things that had to be done. And I'm very happy how it turned out. I mean, that bridge is kinda massive. Thinking about it realistically, you wouldn't build such a massive bridge over here, but rather just a small one over the pond and a stairway leading up the hill. But as it's all a little bit fantasy inspired, and you see the verticality of the buildings, that is just the right size. And I really wanted this bridge to be not really a centerpiece, but to draw attention. And with that, we have a really easy way going over here. We don't have to struggle through the woods, and have a nice windy way leading through the very sparse mountain plateau. I mean, that's all still very old terrain from 1.17. And we continue to climb, and then we arrive at our Christmas village. We built Christmas 2021. It's scary to think about it, that this world lasted so long. And the funny thing about it, and that's also maybe really the clear signal that it's time to start a new world. Even though there are many more projects in this world I wanted to do. Looking at these buildings that are built almost 3 years ago. I mean, they're not bad. They have fancy roof lines, a good color palette, but they're still very plain, and I think I could do a much better job nowadays. And the other thing, of course we could come back and just upgrade those buildings and, you know, add a couple of trapdoors, stairs, slabs, buttons, flower pots, fences, whatever, and spruce them up. But to some degree that would be pretty much an entirely new build, because there wouldn't be much left of the original. And at that point, it would be just smarter to start over again, right? Why even bother? Why not just leave it as a time capsule and start over? And we're not even talking about the interiors. I mean, this building is okay, it has something, but the others are just completely empty. And there's also no viewing platform up here. So really, if we ever tried something like this again, we can do better, much better. But that doesn't mean I don't like this area. Especially these houses over there, I still think they are fairly cute. Hi dude, are you lost? Certainly seems lost. And I'm still surprised to this day I got never kicked off of this mountain by a goat. So they're not as evil as you might think. Soon after we finished the holiday village is also when I started my second series, the 1.18 exploration. Which I think was a little bit of a mistake in hindsight. Even though it was a cool idea to check out the new update without having to, you know, update this world, which I definitely didn't want it to do because of the terrain changes. Well, that meant new videos for this series slowed down significantly. Just a bit of a little bit more than I could chew, you could say. Especially as I also have other artistic endeavors on the side. But thinking about YouTube, algorithm, and viewer attention, at that point I really should have ended this series and just totally commit to the new one, but I didn't want to do this. As this is my very first one that I started, I always was sure that I wanted to give this one a proper ending. Oh, we can see something. And that is also why I record this video, even though it will probably do very poorly, as the whole series has done. But it just fits. You know, it fits the theme before we start something crazy new. At least now I know why my videos haven't worked. It's crazy how much you'll learn over time. If I go back to my first episode, I mean, for a first one it wasn't bad actually. I don't have to cringe too much watching it, but still, so much has changed. But I'm just waffling now. I'm just waffling. We have to get this ender chest out and grab our elven feathers. Ooh, and that's very exciting. Of course, the ender fight was also something postponed to pretty much the end of the series. And when I finally got those wings, I intentionally didn't put them on immediately, but rather waited for the finale. And now it's time to embarrass myself with my elytra skills, isn't it? I haven't used them much in survival. And we can fly down to a harbor as we load in the world because my potato is still a computer. Yep. Let's leave it like that. Where do we land? Ouch. Gracefully on our treasure beach. Which still has... I have no idea why I built that. I mean, I do have an idea why I built it, I just wanted to, but I still have no idea what the lore behind it is. Because it really doesn't make any sense, but... you know, now it's there. There were small merchant ships out there, which I honestly, for their size, really like. And let's see, how's the farmer village doing? Farmer village, because this dude was trying to escape. Sorry. Yeah, and I wonder why they're trying to escape. But I think now they are trapped, hopefully. And we have our big ship Juliet, which I'm also quite proud of, because building ships in Minecraft is not that easy. Oh, that's... we were trying to fish for mending. And that's all the rubbish we got out before we finally hit mending. Which isn't too bad. Yeah, that's the main captain's quarters. I think the storage down here is completely empty. I've sorted it all. The crew bunkers. I also had some plans for maybe decorating it a little bit more, because at that point it's very, very sparse. But maybe also fitting for a ship. One thing I definitely was thinking about was adding maybe a pattern to the sails. Not just leave them completely blank, but I think I'm fine with that. Also like the beefy crane we have here. For a fantasy style, I think that's good. And there we have our main trading hall, and I won't punch these guys. How are you doing? Is everyone there? 3, 3, 2... Yeah, no one escaped, that's good. Our text tower. Yeah, I cleaned up all the chests. It's amazing. Hi, Jelly. And this is probably one of the areas I'm most happy about. Of course, it's also a very recent addition, because that port set always was an important part. Somewhere in that direction, we looted... What did we loot? I think there was a ravine back there. We got our axolotls and stuff like that. Also multiple shipwrecks. And I just wanted to do something with this area. So we built up this little harbor. Harbor town, portside, settlement. And of course our big ship which we used to venture over to the Mesa, to the Badlands. And once again with this area I wanted to bring in some verticality. Of course also have the smaller buildings. But also two large towers. One of them is the clock tower on the trade building. And that also has a special feature I almost forgot about. Which... Aha. Isn't it beautiful? Yeah, it sounds horrible. But there isn't much you can do in this tight space. But I think it's just such a lovely feature. Maybe if it would be more accessible... You know, if you could hook up this redstone signal to this target block. I mean, we probably would have multiple dead villagers, but it would be fun. Because it's a little bit awkward to reach, to be honest, especially... Oh no, I broke something. But is it just a button? Yeah, okay, the redstone still works. Don't know what I broke. I think it's just a button so nothing spawns up there. Maybe. What do we do with this button now? Alright. And then... Yeah, that's a storage hole. Nothing too fancy, but you see already the difference to the winter village. How this is much more decorated. It's still fairly simple, but... You know, some greenery to have a color contrast. Some smaller items like pots. And it just looks so much more lively. Oh, there's a wandering trader. Hi, dude. Vines, okay. I actually don't have vines in this world. And brown dye. Also something I don't have. Do I have emeralds? But I don't really need it because, you know, for obvious reasons. Yeah, I haven't found a jungle in this world. Also haven't really searched for one, but still something I don't have access to. Now on this pathway leads also to this little boat dock, which I have added just because I wanted to. There isn't really any story behind it. I think when we got lost in episode 2 and searched for a home and completely overshot it, we came back from that direction. But I also don't think we landed directly here. So once again, doesn't make too much sense, or there's not too much lore about it, but I thought it would be just cute over here. Because that side really was missing something. You know, looking at the terrain, it just screams for a little boating dock, doesn't it? But now here we have the world spawn, where we have our creeper statue to pacify the creeper gods, because there are basically two main causes of death in Minecraft for me. One is stupidity, and the other one are creepers. Either I dig myself into lava, or a creeper falls on my head. And because of this, we need a creeper statue, so the creepers are pacified. Because that's surely how that works. And then we have our museum gazebo. That's a word. With our dragon egg, and I really have to keep my... I really just want to punch that egg. And there's our museum. I've given you a tour about it so we don't have to repeat it. With various historic items, significant items. Most people probably would call all that stuff trash. But... for me it's not. Yeah, cursed book, villager medicine, presents, first diamond, all that fancy stuff. And our pants/first armor. I still don't know where the pants went. They have to be somewhere. But that's it. That is our world. And where to go from there? As I've said, we will leave this world. This series is done now. It's about time. We are currently in 1.21 and I'm still playing 1.17 because of the terrain changes. Yeah. As you can imagine, even though I played in newer versions here and there, for small series, for singular episodes, not for my own sake. That is just something you don't do once you're a YouTuber. Whenever you open Minecraft, it has something to do with content creation. Just how these things go. But I'm itching to start a new world in the current version and check out all the new fancy stuff. Those features I'm very excited for, as well as those features I'm less excited for. But in terms of content creation, where do we go from here? I'm certainly not quitting. Even though my video output was very slow in the past years. Let's just phrase it the way it is. In an ideal world, that would change very soon. We don't live in an ideal world, so I don't know if it will change, but I have some very awesome plans for the future. Multiple, and I already know that that not all of them will turn into reality, but maybe some. So even though we leave this world, which in the realm of YouTube videos and YouTube Let's Plays is one of the least significant you can find out there, it is one that is very significant for me. Don't destroy the landscape. I already know, in a couple of years I will probably look back to this series with some tears in my eyes, because it taught me a lot. It taught me how to, how to record Let's Plays, how to edit them. Because when I published my first episode, it was the first time ever I was doing something like that. Of course, I have used video editors for some small project in school or university before, but that's just not something you can compare with putting a half-hour Let's Play video out. So it was really the first time. And starting with all these things is always rough. Because I would say creating YouTube videos isn't difficult. But there are just so many things involved that no one teaches you. But you have to just go through them on your own. And you will go through them. Bit by bit, piece by piece, and there are still so many things I have to learn. But the most important steps is what this world has taught me. Both in being a content creator, but also just playing the game and being a builder, improving on my build style massively. Maybe someday I will show you my old pre-YouTube Let's Play world. I think that would be a very interesting comparison. How I used to build, as not a content creator. Also in terms of narrating. I know when I did my first test narratings, in fact, it's many years before I even started my channel that I recorded my first Let's Play, kinda. It was never supposed to be published, but just for the fun of it. At that time I wasn't considering becoming a Let's Player at all, but just was playing around with it. And I was just so scared talking to myself. Because, people would think I'm a weirdo, and probably they do, but these days I just don't care anymore. And that was also a tough lecture I had to learn. Just sit down and talking to yourself, because it feels so unnatural until you start doing it and don't give a care. No, I'm not saying a bad word, not in my final episode. But also things like combat. I used to be scared to go out at night or enter a cave. These days... I'm not scared anymore. The mob should be scared of me. But before it gets too dark, quite literally, here we go. Let's give this a final tour from the air. It's a lovely place. It's a quaint and small world. We didn't spread out much, like I used to do in my old pre-YouTube world where I have buildings all over the place. And maybe one day I have the chance to do this in a long-standing series. Kind of a forever world. But I can already warn you, the next Let's Play series I may or may not start very soon won't be a forever world, but rather a very thematically, which will tell me the second half of being a YouTuber. Very gracefully. And with that, I think it's time to go to bed and to dream about all the adventures that we will soon find in another place, at another time, where things will be even better than they have been. Take care and see you soon. Bye.